Hello, everyone. This is like my thousandth time doing this. My name is Silas James. You already know it. I'm going to be talking about the idea that violence in society comes from the division of society. Now, what do I mean by this? So, division starts out as a whole object. It's complete, it's whole, but something comes along and it breaks it apart. Now, what's that thing that breaks it apart? I believe it to be the way that we try and solve issues. It's not the issues themselves, but it's the way we try and solve them. What do I mean by this? Okay, human nature is to try and weed out what we think doesn't fit in our life. If something is not right, even if it's small, we try and fix it. We try and make it perfect and try and make it whole again. So, I'll give you an example of this. Let's say that Miss Jensen, may I use you as an example? Great, thank you. So, let's say Miss Jensen is an amazing teacher, okay? Hypothetically, of course. She's an amazing teacher, and all of her students love her. She is on time with her grading. She doesn't have pop quizzes. It's fine. But she comes in one day and she realizes everyone's talking about how awesome the math teachers are. Like, what's up with that? Why are the math teachers so good? So she gets together some of her favorite students, one of them, of course, being me, and we all sit down at a conference and we try and think of a way that we can kind of bring Miss Jensen back to the top of the pyramid, back of the food chain, top of the food chain again. So Miss Jensen has this idea, and we can be like really aggressive. We can go and taunt the math teachers and put posters outside the door saying English is better than math, or books are better than textbooks, or something like that. And Silas is like me. I'm like, I got a better idea. How about you just like give extra credit to the students? You could give them like 100% on like a say like a project they have on a book they're reading. Earn the favor that way. And she says, no. That's not going to work. We got to be aggressive. We got to go at this. And so what happens then is you have two conflicting ideas that are meant to solve the same problem. But in reality, what it's just doing is it's creating that divide between the two people. Now they're not focused on the problem at hand, but they're focused on how they're going to solve it, which is really stupid when you look at it, but that's what happens. So another example I can use for this is, let's say you have two people, a man and a wife. In the evening, the wife's going to bed and she feels a raindrop on her forehead. She realizes that the roof is leaking, so she says to her husband, okay, in the morning we're going to go get a professional to come over, fix the roof. The man, like most men that I know, says, no, I can fix it. That's all me, I got this. So he goes up, tries to fix it, but makes it worse and he falls down. Now they're no longer worried about the problem, but they're worried about the fact that they disagreed on the argument. And because we're so stubborn, we don't take the time to realize that we were at one point united over a single cause. And so at this point is when the division starts to take shape. Now, where the division starts to emphasize and we start to see that it's two sides instead of one is when it happens again. Now, say that this person, these two people, man and wife, they're out doing some yard work one day. And so the guy's out chopping wood and he accidentally chops a piece of wood, and one of the pieces goes flying off to the side and makes a dent in the shed that's next to where he's chopping wood. Now the shed's got a giant dent and divot in it, and so the woman says, let's get someone to come over and fix it, put in a new board. And like last time, the guy says, no, I can fix it. It's easy. So he goes and gets a hammer and some nails, and a plank of wood, and he gets some plywood, and he starts pounding nails in with his hammer, and he's going all around. And he hits that last nail, and the entire chunk that he just tried to nail in falls out of the other side. Alright? Now, his wife is standing there like, really? This happened last time. You didn't learn? And it's at this point that we start to see that there's a division not only between the two people, but now there are ideas and concepts and stereotypes that are forming about the other side. This wife's probably like, my husband's now horrible, he doesn't listen to direction, and he's not open to suggestions. Now, that's a misconception. That's a misunderstanding of her own husband, but that's what we all think in society. Now let's take this to a bigger scale. Okay, let's say you have someone who robbed a store, okay? And he's running from the police, and a police officer tackles him. But the kid tries to fight back, and the kid punches the officer, knocks him out, and runs away. Now that's one time that's happened, okay. So he gets it off, and he's like, okay, whatever. And he goes out, and there's another kid that robs the store, and he tries to do the same thing. Kid beats him up again, and he gets away. Now, cops like, all right, all teens, no matter what I try and do, they're all going to try and beat me up if I tackle them. So I got to find a way to combat that. I got to get back at that. So he starts telling his friends, this is like, watch out for those teens, man. Those teens will always run on you. They're always going to try and beat you up. And so off of that, one of two things can happen. You can do something rash. Instinct will set in. He tries and defends himself. Or he goes to extremes. The police officer says, you know what? I'm going to get back at these guys. They're not going to get past me anymore. When I take one down, I'm going to make sure they're down. And he tells all of his fellow police officers, all right, next time you get someone that's a teenager who robbed a store, you take them down, you make sure they're down because they're going to fight, they're going to try and run. And so what you have is now this unexplainable case of police brutality where a police officer is tackling a child to the ground, and the child stole like a ring. He was gonna give it back. He felt ashamed. He got out of there. He was scared. He was gonna give it back, and now he's getting the crap beat out of him. He's being sprayed with mace. He now has handcuffs on him for no apparent reason. And then you have this case, and now people are rallying behind the teenagers and saying that the police are being brutal, and they're trying to attack all these young kids that are just minding their own business. And suddenly you have two sides, two oppositions, two forces that are combining to hit each other. Now, was there a simpler way to solve this? Of course there was. Next time you have a kid that's robbed a store, that's done any crime, you follow through a procedure. You take him outside, you say, hey, you robbed this, I'm going to be taking you to jail for the night, and read him his Miranda rights, and if he tries to fight back, then it's acceptable. You can use some force and try and contain him or her, and you put him in the back of the police vehicle, you take him to court. That's how it ought to be. But no, because of your preconceived notions and preconceived ideas, you refuse to accept that there's an other side or another solution to the problem, and you want to take it into your own hand now. Now, you don't want to listen to anyone else, so everything that's going to happen is going to happen your own way. And when someone else thinks that it should happen another way, you have two sides, and that's the difference between the side who's rallying behind the teenagers and the side who's rallying behind the police officers. They try and act like there are two different sides going at each other, but if you look at it, if you look at the raw material, the origins of it, they're both fighting for the same thing. There's a crime going on. How do we solve that crime without getting people hurt? But no, it's suddenly person versus person, not person versus idea. So, what does this all mean? Does this all mean that we're basically all screwed? We're all going to go out and no matter what happens, we're going to pick fights with each other based on each other's beliefs and choices? No. I don't have to. Let me give you some examples of this that have actually happened in history. So, there's a very long period, and there are places where it still happens now, but racism was a very big problem. And back in the early 1900s, if you were another color, oh boy, you don't do anything wrong. If you did something wrong, oh boy, you get the crap beat out of you, you get lynched. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And what was it over? It was because people refused to accept that all people are equal. All people have the same rights as others, and we try and assert our dominance over someone else's, and try and assert our beliefs over someone else's. And that leads to a really bad society. It leads to two sides fighting each other. And before you know it, you don't know what you're fighting for. You don't know why you're fighting it, but you just know that it's happening. Let's take into account the apartheid. So you have these two different cultures, two different races that are attacking each other. Do we even know why they're attacking each other? No. We just know that they are. It's because there's a problem going on. They don't know how to solve it. They don't know how to get along. So they attack each other, thinking that their side is right. But it's not in reality. And that leads to the solution. So the solution to this is to realize not only maybe our side isn't right, is that our side is not right. That's the first instinct we should have going into an issue or a problem, is that, okay, my side isn't right. Let's see what they have to say. Maybe they're right. All right? We have to realize that not all 100% of the time has to be our decision, and our things have to be the way that solutions have to be what we want them to be. We also have to show respect in our community, in our society, for other people, other beliefs, other ideologies. We live in Lee, okay? You guys can't go outside of this room without seeing people from 10 different like origins, 10 different like races, 10 different cultures. It's not going to happen. You're going to see them at every corner, every turn. What happens if we went out to Lee and tried to impose our views, our beliefs on every single person out there? You think that would go well? No. No, it would be really bad, and we would probably never come back to Lee High School because there would be gang wars, there would be fights every single day, and it would be horrible. So we need to learn, in conclusion, to be able to respect other people's ideologies and other people's views. And we need to learn that that everyone is fighting for the same cause. But what happens is we sometimes get skewed on our way of going around about solving that issue, solving that problem. And in reality, we're all fighting for the same thing, and we need to come together. Thank you guys very much. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in that back desk. I'm right over there. Hey, Silas.